The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down. Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now, your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Walker, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
It is a wonderful Wednesday here from the Star in Frisco as we preview the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles here on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the SWBC studios with Rob Phillips, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick No-C Walker, and Chris Beam. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. Gentlemen, when we walked into this studio today, Isaiah looked at me.
Yeah, that's right.
And he had this half-finished bottle of
Turn-Up.
Turn-Up is a great way to put it.
Exactly
What's the sponsor? Be careful.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to
say.
say the sponsor because it was. I don't think it's anything really even a big name.
We're about to go crazy, boys.
People in the fitness industry know the name, but he gave it to me and was like, "Finish it."
That's right.
And it's supposed to be like pre-workout, like
I am my brother's keeper.
Uptick, and
Yeah.
I finished it. So let's see. This is a social experiment happening right before your very eyes.
Frank the Tank?
I finished it probably 3 minutes ago. I chugged it all in one sitting.
He definitely has about 11 minutes left before he just starts doing cartwheels.
So let's
veins start popping like scanners.
let's see what happens here over the next 15 minutes.
You're already
to an hour.
kind of like a little jittery to me a little
Am
bit.
I?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's rough. He's going to be
it's probably
that
'cause I'm
Triple H gift.
We're going off the rails here, buddy.
It's probably because I'm nervous about what I just put into my body.
He's going to start growling in a minute.
Isaiah's a big
If you see him
dude.
run to the bathroom, we know why.
BGs.
Time to play the game.
Yes.
Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing fantastic.
Good.
We got to keep an eye on you, but we're doing well.
I know. I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
We're going to see how it's going because Isaiah can handle that stuff. He's got the body mass to do it. I'm over here in the corner.
And you really did go bottoms up on it, too.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Are you struggling?
He took it like a man.
Are you tired?
No, I actually feel fine.
You didn't need a jolt.
It's a
You
big
just-
work day, man.
I've been up for a little bit. I've got my coffee in this morning early. I don't even have it with me. My Black Rifle, I had it at home this morning. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Pookie from New Jack City.
About to be Debo's pigeon coop, I'm about to tell you, dog.
Just be calling me.
So, Cowboys, Eagles, one of the biggest divisional matchups that we've seen in quite some time, and we'll talk about that coming up in a minute. But Rob Phillips hit us with some news and notes early on. Cowboys back on the practice field.
Yes, back to practice. A couple news and notes. Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Week for
Finally.
the NFC. About time. Right?
Finally.
He's only been
Haters.
the best player in the NFL defensively, maybe in the
haters is what
entire
they are.
league. Yeah,
Say that again.
Micah Parsons.
What was the part after that?
He's only been the best defensive player in the NFL this season. Maybe
Say that
entire
with your chest, sir.
pound for pound player. Period.
days
And
early.
he really deserved this one because he did play 3+ quarters with a groin injury.
Yep.
And we'll see what his status is today, how much work he gets done. I think they feel pretty good about him playing this week. One roster move, practice squad addition at the tight end position. Seth Green, former Houston Texan, I think he's from Allen, just up the road here.
Yeah.
Went to Houston for college. He takes the spot of Tucker Addington, the second long snapper that they had on the practice squad last week. They're pretty banged up at tight end. We know that. Dalton Schultz only played 10 snaps. That PCL injury flared up on him in the game. Jake Ferguson was on the injury report last week.
Right.
Sean McCune's been banged up at times. They need depth at tight end, so that's something to watch.
I can eat some peanut butter, and I'll make weight.
You'll be right back at it.
I'll be right back to
Vet
it.
minimum.
Just saying. Give
Vet
it to
minimum 1.2.
Call your boy. Guard me now.
If you end up getting the vet minimum and you sign as a tight end over there, I think we need a portion of that.
Oh,
we need
man, you guys, I got you guys, man.
cut a
Facts.
check.
You tell the
We need to
people
make it work.
upstairs, man.
Facts.
So I was talking with some of the staff last week prior to the game, and they were saying we maybe shouldn't have played Dalton Schultz as much as we did in the Washington game. Maybe we shouldn't have played him as much, but he's good to go. This is going to be fine. He's back to being healthy, back to being ready to go. And then like Rob just said, 10 snaps, PCL flares up, and they had some things drawn up at a couple of times for Peyton Hendershot, for Jake Ferguson as guys in the receiving game. It didn't really work out because, like we talked about, nobody outside of CeeDee Lamb and Noah Brown had a reception. But it's interesting to me to think now that Dalton Schultz is out, do they really have a struggle for a wide receiver, or at least a pass catcher, I should say, at tight end? Because Ferguson hasn't necessarily shown it yet as a pass catcher. Hendershot has the ability, but he's been limited to this point.
I'm going with Peyton Hendershot. Yeah. That's what I call him, Hendershot. Schultz, we talked about this when Schultz initially got injured. PCLs, they need rest to heal. He missed only one game. We also discussed why he would try to manage through the pain and get back. Obviously, he's under a franchise tag. He's got the two young gunners behind him, Ferguson and Hendershot. Okay. But that said, he re-aggravates. Fergie's dealing with a little something, although Fergie did play in 64% of the snaps, but he missed a practice because of a knee injury. Hendershot, right now, outside of the new addition, Seth Green, is your only fully healthy tight end, and he's proven that he can make plays down the field. So does he need to improve in his run blocking? Yes, he does. But as far as being able to separate, and I said this before when it comes to Hendershot, there's not a tight end on this roster, there's not a tight end on several rosters that can separate the way that young man can separate. Like his way he breaks out of routes and his feet, his quickness, he separates like a receiver. If he ever truly adds run blocking and pass blocking to his arsenal, he's going to be dangerous. But in the immediate, it has to be Hendershot if you're trying to find another receiving weapon for Cooper Kupp and then eventually Dak Prescott.
I don't disagree with you. I just think that,
Cooper
as
Rush,
we mentioned.
By the way.
That's a Kupp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I need some of that.
He can probably do that
Yeah,
too.
you want some of that?
I need some of that.
Cooper Kupp can come in here and throw too.
Cooper Rush.
I don't disagree with you. I actually agree with you 100%. The only problem is, as I mentioned yesterday, Kellen Moore is going to have to open up this playbook. The number one priority has been keeping Cooper Rush safe and protecting him, which is why you haven't seen a whole lot of successful passes going on, because these guys have been staying in to block. A lot of the passes that are going down the field aren't high-precision passes. There have been some drops, too, on some of the balls that he has delivered. But there are not a lot of high-precision passes because you're having to try to push things down the field. For when you do take your shots, you're blocking it up and trying to ensure that he has the time to deliver the ball with high accuracy. To get back to Dallas's offense, yes, they checked one box last week by rushing the ball over 30 times. That's freaking awesome. Okay, now we know what comes off of that. Play action comes off of that. Are you willing to let these tight ends now that are banged up, right, and let Hendershot get out in routes at the exposure, the possible risk of Cooper Rush being under pressure? That's the question that they're going to be posed with, because that is the response that they need in order to generate some offense here. You can't just run the ball and run two-man concepts. It's not a thing. It's not a thing unless you just simply just wipe everybody off the planet with your running game, which I don't think we're there yet. I think they were persistent last week, but they're not to old Dallas Cowboys where you just hand the ball off and just beat them down the entire game. They're going to have to get out and run some routes. And to do that, you're going to have to risk Cooper Rush being under pressure.
Against this front, which is maybe the best total front will have faced this whole year. Tom Pelissero from NFL Network, who's also plugged in around here, said Schultz didn't have a new injury or damage. As long as he gets through the week, he should be good to go on Sunday. That's something to watch, though. Like, I don't know if it's as severe as the PCL that Zeke had last year, but think about how limited Zeke was the whole year. Like No C just said, it requires rest, and there's no rest. I mean, you get a bye week here in about 3 weeks, but other than that, you got to keep going. So he's going to try to play through it, I'm sure. But, could be Hendershot, Ferguson, and, you're probably looking at potentially calling up Seth Green or McCune if he's good to go too. So.
I don't like. It's never a good thing for somebody who's been injured a lot. Okay, it's never a good thing when somebody does something in football and then stops and looks at the body part that's actually bothering them. Like you try to shake it off and you're like, oh man, that something isn't right. You know what I'm saying? You go to the sideline, talk to the trainer, talk to the doctor.
Body language.
Yeah. But when you stop and you start like messing with your knee and looking at it like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
like, what's going on in here? You wish you had x-ray vision because you're
Do what I
literally
want.
Talking to it.
That scared me. I remember we were in the studio watching and he stopped his route and he's just like looking at it. He's messing with his knee and I'm like, ooh. It's not good. It's not good, and I'm hoping that the reports are true, but it doesn't give you a sense of hope, and I hate that for him, especially this year. This is a huge year for him. Not only was it a big hit for Dak to go out because he is Dak's guy, and he's his Dak's security blanket. We thought that he would be Cooper Rush's security blanket. We found out that Noah Brown is his security blanket. So not only did he have that big hit in terms of Dak not feeding him the ball for this long duration of time, now he's hit with an injury. It's a double whammy for him.
And kind of going back to what you said a few episodes ago, Dalton Schultz is definitively Dak Prescott's guy. But now when Dak comes back, you were asking if Dalton's going to get his targets.
Not healthy enough.
Logically, yes. But he's not healthy, so maybe not. So, it's not looking too promising for Schultz unless he can kind of heal up on the job. But we've seen, as recently as Ezekiel Elliott in 2021, healing up on the job when it's a sprained PCL, those two things don't marry well.
And this is why guys hate the franchise tag.
Oh, no doubt.
No, it's true.
This is why when the fans out there are like, oh, just go out there and sign the contract. You're about to make all this money this 1 year. This is why, people.
I mean, it's guaranteed, and contracts year to year are not guaranteed, but you get that lump sum of guaranteed money that is a lot more than $10.9 million or whatever he got.
Yeah.
So
If you don't think that he's losing money right now,
Well, he at the moment he's losing future revenue at the moment.
Well, because you think about it, if you come back next year, the Cowboys could tag him, but with his production this year, or at least the injuries, they probably won't. They're not going to go and spend $10.9 million again.
he can't come
There's
close
no
to the
way.
numbers of last year.
Yeah.
Unless he just goes off for
He's
150 again.
Yeah, full
You know what I'm
Kelsey.
saying? Like,
Full Kelsey.
He's still never had a 100-yard receiving game in his career. He's never had one.
It sucks,
So to this point, even if he were to come in and explode, it would be for like 8 catches, 80 yards, and maybe a touchdown, maybe 2 if he gets lucky.
Yeah.
So that's
Air
not
quote
even
on the explode.
in terms of the ceiling that we've seen from Dalton Schultz. He would have to really go off to even get close to the numbers he had last year, which is what he was pushing for contract wise. Anyways, you brought something up. This is a league wide conversation. But scoring is down in the NFL at the moment. You're at 42 points per game, which is about 5 or 6 points less than it is normally on average, and that's combined points per game, not just per team. So scoring is down across the board in the NFL. And a big reason for that has been the lack of play or the lack of effectiveness in offensive line play throughout the season. Offensive lines, not only with the Dallas Cowboys, but across the league, have not been good. And that's a byproduct of college football and the way that the spread offense has gone for the last 5 to 10 years or so in college football, and now all those guys are making it into the NFL, and they're having to relearn the position and do it a different way.
That's a good point.
So, with that being said, we're seeing a lot of tight ends around the league having to max protect, having to come in and block more than being a receiver, where it seemed like with the Kelseys and the Kittles and the Wallers of the world, we're moving the tight end position into a pass-catching heavy situation. Feels like this year that's reverted backwards. And you haven't seen those high-end tight ends. Even Kelsey the other day, he had 4 touchdown grabs.
7 catches, 25
He had like
yards.
5 catches.
7 catches,
Like that was
25.
it. It was all in the red zone. That was the only time he was targeted. Is this a change in the NFL this year that we're seeing that's going to continue forward because of the lack of offensive line depth in the NFL, and tight ends are having to make up for that?
that's probably part of it. I think we're seeing it magnified here, and Isaiah spoke about it just because of the situation the Cowboys are specifically in without Dak and without Tyron Smith, and they have a young player at left tackle in Tyler Smith. I also think defenses are just adjusting in general to what this style of offense, the more spread out stuff. They're saying, okay, fine. I mean, we saw what defenses did to the Cowboys last year, what defenses are doing to the best quarterbacks in the league, the Pat Mahomes, the Justin Herberts. It's like, fine, we're gonna zone it up. We're gonna keep everything in front of us. We're not gonna give you great stuff down the field. And it's forcing offenses to be more plotting and methodical, and it's not as fun. It's not as fun, but that's been the defensive adjustment, I think, in general, that we've seen from defenses around the league. And that's, to me, that's one reason why scoring is down. And that does put more emphasis on your running game and having to be more effective that way to get yardage. Because this stuff over the top, it's kind of boring, but, I mean, in a league that is tilted more towards the pass, defenses have got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 things to say to that. One, That shirt is phenomenal.
It's a great shirt.
Oh, well,
that
thank you.
peach,
Yeah.
that peach, the way it just jumps off that blue is just fantastic.
Feels kind of
Makes your
sprained and
eyes-
fall,
Yeah,
but I
Really brings out your eyes, Rob.
Yeah, I just had to put it out there. For
Thanks.
those that are just
Nice.
listening to the audio only, check out the YouTube video. You got to see Rob's shirt. It's fantastic. But to that point, I think everything in the NFL and all you guys can agree, particularly Isaiah here having played in the league, everything is cyclical, right?
Yep.
So it went through a phase where offense was just shredding defenses just all over the place. You know, the rules helped legislate that into place as well. You can't really touch a quarterback. That's a whole different conversation.
Chris Jones.
You can't put hands on receivers, et cetera, et cetera. So eventually what was going to happen is what we're seeing happening now is, to Rob's point, defenses and defensive coordinators, they started to adjust. Front offices have started to adjust in whom they bring in personnel-wise via the draft and free agency to account for these high-powered offenses, the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, and you know, Green Bay when Devontae Adams was there, those types of offenses. But so yes, to answer your question, it's going to, I believe, continue for the foreseeable future. But again, it's cyclical. Eventually, offenses will then adapt, and then it will again become an offensive-driven league. But for right now, it is in fact.
Can that happen this year?
Yeah. I don't know that it will happen as soon as this year, because you're talking about defenses like the Cowboys, the 49ers, I mean, the Eagles, for example. I mean, there are several teams in the NFC alone that can shut down some of these high-powered offenses. So I think it's going to take a couple more seasons or so before we see the needle start to move back in the opposite direction.
Agreed.
Look at the Chargers even. Like, their defense, there's guys on every level of that defense, too. The Chargers are real defensively, and they're like the 20th ranked defense in the league right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, and it's not because it's their fault. They actually have decent numbers, but just defenses are starting to shift, and they're covering these tight ends. We talked about it last week with J-Ron Kurz, eliminating tight ends. Eliminating good time guys to deal with. The Eagles got a tight end of their own that you got to look out for.
Speaking of cursing tight end.
Yeah, just trying to cancel some people out. Dallas Goddard and company coming in hot at 5-0. We're going to preview the Dallas defense and how they're going to slow down that Philadelphia offense, starting with the run game and the backfield for Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts and company. When we come back with more Talking Cowboys.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Home Ownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, here from the SWBC studios at the Star in Frisco. By the way, it's Wednesday. Miller Lite proud to bring you the Q Barbecue Fest Dallas, located at the Miller Lite House at AT&T Stadium. Join your Cowboys from November 4th through the 6th for some of the best barbecue in the entire country. Woo! Get your tickets today at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. That's Q Barbecue Fest. Oh, my.
Tasty.
Q Barbecue Fest. Why'd you have to do this whenever I'm trying to get ready for a wedding? Like, what are you doing? The 3 days
They're getting
of
you
just
protein
pure barbecue.
Because
it's a bye week, too.
Your wedding
that is the bye week?
They're getting his protein up so because he's going to have a little one on the way.
Whoa.
He's getting your protein up.
You heard it here first.
Don't you put that evil on me.
Breaking news. Get his protein
That's
up.
not true. Okay, no breaking news. Nobody out there. Mom, do not freak out. That's not happening. I promise.
No gender reveal right now.
No.
Those
Run onto the field.
air meetings are supposed to make it on air.
If you wanted a gender reveal, just look at Bob or look at Rob's shirt. Look at that. That's
it
a
is.
gender
I'm
reveal.
a walking gender reveal today.
He's got the pink.
Noise.
But yeah, get your tickets for the Q Barbecue Fest. Isaiah and I will totally be out there. We'll make it work.
Yeah, if I'm here, man, I'm there.
Yeah, and it is the bye week. You're going to be on Cabo.
I'm trying to
be on. You're going to be on Rob P. Island.
I'm trying to go to this PBR, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's trying to get his rodeo on.
That's
Talking
right.
about rodeo on, man.
rodeo
Rodeo
on.
boy.
All right, Eagles offense. 38 points in week 1, 24 points in the next 2 weeks. They put up 29 against Jacksonville, and then last week they held on late against the Arizona Cardinals. 20-17 was the final score. They are 5-0. Jalen Hurts and company look legitimate, but so does this Dallas defense.
Right.
It's going to be fun. This is the matchup I think everybody will have circled. The Dallas defense versus the Philadelphia offense. Isaiah, your initial thoughts on what you're seeing from Philadelphia and how dangerous are they really, even based off of some of the schedule they've played so far?
I feel like Bart Scott right now.
Okay.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. These guys, everybody talks about their defensive line, and yes, their defensive line will not allow you to run the ball. That's concerning because they have the big boys in the middle, obviously with I call him Baby Davis. Big Baby Davis, I know that was a basketball player, but I'm going to call him Big Baby Davis. And Big Fletcher Cox. They got Hargrove in there. They got some dudes, right, in the middle that won't allow you to really be as successful as you like to be on the ground game. We know that is very important for Dallas' success to be able to establish a ground game because they haven't been throwing the ball the way they've wanted to. So that's a little bit concerning. Their defense doesn't scare me. Dallas's defense scares everybody, and they should. Philly's defense does not scare me, but they almost they're patient. They're very patient. They just chill. They do what they're supposed to do. They don't necessarily make a bunch of big splash plays unless you throw it up to them. Mm-hmm. If you throw it up, Slay, Gardner Johnson, all them guys, they're going to make you pay for it if you put it up in the air. If you try to run the ball on the ground, Fletcher Cox, Big Baby Davis, they're going to remind you that they're in there.
We're previewing Dallas defense versus Philly offense.
I'm sorry, man. I pulled a piece. All right, let's flip it to the other side. Dallas defense.
The pre-workout.
No. Exactly.
Yeah, you should have had the whole thing.
So Dallas's defense is very explosive in a sense of these guys will try to get after obviously the offense of Philadelphia, but Philadelphia has a lot of options that they provide and a lot of leverage problems. Dallas's advantage is that they're so explosive and they make big plays and that their personnel groupings can obviously take advantage of that of Philly, even though they have some dudes. Dallas has better personnel matchups overall. The thing that concerns me is that they're so overly aggressive. Not from the sense of Dan Quinn putting them out of position in terms of blitzing and things of that nature, but from the sense that these guys like to make plays. And that's an amazing thing, as we've seen this year, until you start having leverage problems, until you're slowed down by the options that Philadelphia provides in terms of the RPO. And most people think RPO, I'm either going to run the ball or I'm going to pass it to one place. No. Philadelphia's RPO is I can run the ball right here because we have the numbers in the box and we have bigger guys on your smaller guys and we have 6 for 6, 5 for 6, whatever it might be, right? They feel good about their in-the-box running scheme. So they can do that. That's a run option. Or they can run it with Jalen Hurts. That's another option. Or we have 3 guys out to the bunch up top and we can run a screenplay because we have 3 guys blocking your 2 guys. Or we have Dallas Goddard down here and he's matched up. You know, him and A.J. Brown have one-on-one matchups and we can run a screen down here as well. They put your defensive ends or your outside linebackers at a disadvantage because they put you in no man's land. Whatever decision that you would like to make from your defensive position, they can make you wrong. Even though you're doing your assignment, you're doing what Dan Quinn told you to do, but they still can make you wrong because they have 3 or 4 options that they can go with based upon the look that you give. So that's the problem, and that's the thing that's concerning to me, because like even if Dallas does what they're supposed to do defensively, you still could be in a bad predicament.
I'm going to let Rob take it next because I did some homework on the Eagles, specifically Monday night and then again last night, and I got some numbers here that I want to toss out. So.
Okay, yeah, just real quick to piggyback on what Isaiah said. If you go back and watch this Cardinals game, they didn't blow you away offensively. They had 20 points in the game, but like you said about options, like if you want to load up front against them, there was a lot of screen action stuff. A lot of stuff that Goddard quick outside, and he can get yak for you. We know about Devontae Smith. We know about A.J. Brown. I just think we were asked the question, I think, on Fan Tuesday by a fan, like, can the RPO stuff and the run game slow down the Cowboys' rush? And in some sense, yes, it can. That's what RPOs are designed to do. They're designed to make you freeze for a split second and figure out what you're supposed to do. So I do think that is a concern because they're so good at it, and Hurts is so good at it, and Hurts has also become just a better overall passer too as part of that threat too. He is really developed. I've been a fan of his since he came in the league. I know some people haven't.
I'm one of those people. I'm not a crazy Hurts fan.
Well,
I think he can win, but I don't think he's a great quarterback. Let's just put it that way.
They've done a hell of a job designing an offense around his strengths.
I would agree with that.
But he's just impressed me since Alabama. He constantly gets better. He's such a pro. But they have and they've done such a good job of adding players. I mean, A.J. Brown is a great addition to this defense or offense. So, the RPO stuff, I'm curious where Micah Parsons goes because both these games last year were blowouts. Not everybody played in the final game. In week 3, it was a Cowboys blowout, and Eagles barely ran the ball because it was such a lopsided game. Is it better for Micah to play on the edge or play off the ball and be able to survey things a little bit more? To me, that's part of the chess match, too, that I want to see.
Okay, so here's some science on the Eagles.
Yes, science.
And yes. The more I dug into this team, the less impressive they became in one particular aspect, and that's the passing game. You have to love how they've designed their offense as far as personnel-wise. They went and got A.J. Brown. And it's crazy because their offense is eerily similar to Dallas's when Dak is in the mix, right? Because A.J. Brown is the same build and type of player as Michael Gallup for the most part.
Don't do that.
I did it. Devontae Smith, CeeDee Lamb have the same skill set. Shifty guys can make plays. But the word explosive keeps getting thrown around, right? And I was guilty of it as well until I started really digging into them on Monday. Hurts has only 4 passing touchdowns, and he has 2 interceptions. Cooper Rush has 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. That means Hurts is on pace for less than 14 touchdowns this season to 7 interceptions. Like that, those are bad numbers. That's not even par. Like that's subpar in passing. 0 passing touchdowns in 3 of their 5 games. 3 of their 5 games, Hurts has not been able to find a receiver in the end zone, be it Goddard or Brown or Devontae Smith or whomever. It's so lopsided. And this is what I was referring to during the break. It's so lopsided. They are explosive as a run offense. Explosive. You got to contain that. But as a passing offense, they are so not great as far as pay dirt. What they do well is it kind of matches what the Cowboys allow to be done. Cowboys like bend, don't break. They rack up, they being the Eagles, they rack up a lot of yards in between the red zones and yak. Goddard, for example, 200. Goddard has 280 yards after the catch.
Yeah.
He leads all NFL players in that.
He's great at that.
This is going to segue to. We'll get the key matchups later in the week, but one of my matchups to watch is going to be Curse versus Goddard. And we said on Media Match they were asking, well, how do you stop Hurts in the run game? Well, what you do is, for me, you don't blitz. You assign your 3 or 4 man front to when they're their matchups as they have been, and then you keep a particular spy. But I don't think, to answer your question, I wouldn't use Micah as the spy coming off of a groin injury because, first of all, I wouldn't even let him practice this week. I said that in media match yesterday. DNP, or limited, rehab, and then, hey, see you on Sunday. Yep. But I still wouldn't use Micah there. I would use Anthony Barr because I love what I saw from Anthony Barr against the Rams as far as his sideline to sideline. I saw 2 separate occurrences where he knifed in on, what did we just talked about? What the Eagles do well? Screen passes. Mm-hmm. Okay? On 2 separate occasions, Anthony Barr recognized, closed, knifed in, and blew up 2 screen passes. Right. One would have been a huge play by Tyler Higbee. This is what you need from Barr in this particular game. And I think that's how you help contain Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts beats you in this game by throwing 40 times but only rushing for 20 yards, then so be it. See you at AT&T in a few weeks. However, I don't believe Jalen Hurts can beat you by throwing 40 times and only rushing for 20 yards. Yeah. So it's a very one-dimensional offense. It's just that one dimension is explosive, but the Cowboys have the personnel to limit that.
Really quickly, I wanted to add to a couple points you had there from your science lab. But Philadelphia, 4th in the NFL in rushing yards per game for 160 yards per pop. Then they're 7th in the NFL in passing yardage. So they're still pretty high up there in terms of throwing the football as well. If you wanted a comparison, Dallas is 15th in the NFL in rushing, and they're 27th in passing. So
they get a lot of yards.
Yardage is different. You're right. And then you said Michael Gallup and A.J. Brown. I just wanted to debunk that one.
Me too.
Michael Gallup's 200 pounds soaking wet.
2 different weight room classes.
And A.J. Brown's 225
I don't mean
on a bad day.
I mean the way they play. They play violent.
I agree
they play
with
physical.
that.
That's what
I was going to add that to it. They're both guys that go and have that contested ball downfield. They can go up and make a grab. Different weight classes.
I didn't say they have the same mom.
Yeah.
I was saying they play the same way.
I just wanted to get that out there before Twitter got out there.
That's a good point about Micah because Dan Quinn even told us on Monday they put him on the edge in part as a situational pass rusher in the second half because he was limited physically. Yeah. So we'll see how he does this week. Hurts does average 8.5 yards attempt. That helps when you've got a Devontae Smith on your team.
Yes.
And you can press the ball down the field. He has 6 rushing touchdowns.
There you go. Leads his team in it.
He's right up there in terms of the NFL rankings, and he averages over 13 yards a carry.
He's their best ball carrier.
Right. In fact,
in a good offense of good ball carriers.
He's averaging almost 4.5 first downs per game on the ground.
Why
Jalen Hurts is.
Why?
What do you mean why?
Because why? Why does this happen?
It's always going to be a myriad, but go ahead.
It's because of the fact that the defenders are left in no man's land. They are left in no. It's the scheme. That's what I'm talking about.
Scheme.
It's no matter if you're doing your assignment, they make you wrong. They don't give a dog on how they get to the red zone. They don't give a dog on how they get to the end zone. They want to they are patient. Like there's not many teams in this league that are patient. These guys will jump, they'll run 5 screenplays in a row, different looks, totally different looks. They'll give it out to Goddard, they give it out to A.J. Brown, they give it out to Smith, they give it to Miles Sanders. They don't give a doggone as long as they're beating you down, keeping your offense off the field. My fear, okay? I think Dallas defense is the best in the league, hands down, most explosive, best personnel, all that jazz. However, these guys will test the run defense. Yeah, we keep talking about the run defense and how we've been tested. This team, not the most traditional of run offenses. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because they will rush the ball with Miles Sanders. They will run option with doggone Jalen Hurts, or they'll use the screens as rushes. Look at the film and how many one-on-one matchups these cornerbacks of the Dallas Cowboys are going to have to come up, be physical, and win. Yeah. Not going to be able to just come up and hit. Look how many tackles they break out of screenplays. They take hits all day long. Freaking Buda Baker was coming up laying hat, and guess what? Not making a tackle, right? Those plays where they're one-on-one, A.J. Brown, swole A.J. Brown is out there lined up, okay? And he's out there one-on-one. You got a cornerback paying 7 to 8 yards off, and you throw it out to him. They are perfectly fine taking 4 yards from that and using that as a run play. They don't need Jalen Hurts throwing the ball down the field. They don't care if Jalen Hurts throws the ball down the field. Their plan is to wear you down and have you so concerned and honed in on your assignments in terms of run defense that all of a sudden you start creeping up, and then what? oh, crap, I forgot they had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown that can run past everybody.
But see,
they're looking for that one or two plays. That's all they care about. Because in reality, everybody thinks that you have to have this amazingly explosive offense. You need 2 plays a game.
But I just don't to that point, let me address that point. I don't think Dan Quinn is going to creep up because Dan Quinn's offense is totally fine giving you the underneath, and then when you get toward the red zone, then he says, figure it out. I dare you to get into this end zone. And teams time and again cannot get into the end zone.
Teams that can't run the ball.
That's fair.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where it's a little bit different. So trust me, I'm saying that I wholeheartedly
faced some good run games that haven't been good against you. I mean, Joe Mixon was tearing people up.
Has he did it this year?
Yes, he has. He's been good this year. Joe Mixon's been running the ball.
He's on my fantasy team. He hasn't done crap.
He's still fine.
Is that how we're dictating?
He's better than most of the league.
I hear you, but I'm saying these. And again, I'm going to keep saying
I'm not saying the Rams are good.
There has not been a team. Antonio Gibson hasn't been Gibson this year. They're running there. The offensive line.
They still ran for 150 against Dallas, though, to your point.
But these are very traditional running teams.
I
need people to understand that. It's different. It's not just line up, come downhill. I'm Osa Odigizua. I'm Neville Gallimore. I'm just going to come up here and just run you off the ball. These guys will use leverage, and if you choose one side, they're going the other way. Micah Parsons needs to play defensive end. Why? Because he needs to be able to take away the running game and be able to get out to the screen to stop that from coming from the inside out. That's where he needs to play this game. I have never said that in life. But this is the game that Micah needs to be on the edge. This is the game that Sam Williams needs to be on the opposite edge because these guys need to be able to condense the doggone running lanes and get out to the doggone screens because this team is going to screen Dallas to death. And I hope that these guys come up and hit and tackle because that is how they're going to be tested.
I'll say this and I'll accentuate your point. It's not specifically just that the Cowboys have struggled because like Kyle said, they've gone against some good running teams, not the Rams, but some good running teams, and Joe Mixon, for example, in the Bengals. But and I've said this 2 weeks or so ago going into the game at MetLife, mobile quarterbacks, more specifically than the run attack, it's mobile quarterbacks that tends to give this team hell. Daniel Jones and he proved me right. He was giving them some hell. Hurts is infinitely more mobile.
And those are broken. And Danny Dimes hurt him on broken plays.
Right.
These are going to be designed.
So to accentuate your point, it's not simply the run offense. It's the fact that it's an extremely mobile quarterback, and it's a quarterback that depends on his mobility to defeat you. But then the bread gets sliced both ways, right? Because while that's true, it's also true that it makes them infinitely more one-dimensional. So in that one dimension, there's levels to this, right? So in that one dimension,
are you talking about like Doctor Strange dimensions, or are we talking about like what dimension are we talking about? Multiverse? I mean, because my biggest concern, and people go back and look at this, and we'll talk about this in film. I know we got to go to break. Go back on film again for Dallas and look at the cutback lanes.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Against the Rams.
Against not even just the Rams. Go back to New York. How did Saquon Barkley break his run? So there was only been one running back who's been capable of making that cut.
Is that a product of
that should have been? That was that was a missed tackle too. So
for a reason.
Yeah, I mean,
for a reason. He's Saquon Barkley.
You had hands on him.
You had Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know what I'm saying? So now you're talking about Jalen Hurts who squats 600 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm just saying. There are some things that have shown up on film that you're going to have to shore up. Otherwise, this team will make you freaking pay.
Is that a product of a defensive line that is so aggressive and so quick?
That's what I want to get to. I want to get to that. I want to talk to that when we come back because that's how the Giants had their highest rushing attack so far. It was the edge. Outside the tackles. That's how teams have rushed against the Cowboys. Let's talk about this. Continue this on the other side of the break here on Talkin Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Lil Sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Lil Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is. It's a non-fungible token.
Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands with Essilor lenses, you can see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more, Essilor on Talkin' Cowboys. Isaiah Stanback, Patrick Nosey Walker, Rob Phillips, Kyle Yeomans. Let's continue this discussion.
Let's do it.
About the outside of the Cowboys defense.
Okay.
Outside the tackles. That's where they've been hurt. It's where New York hurt you. Whenever Washington had success, where did they hurt them? On the outside. It was outside the tackles. What was it? J.D. McKissick. And then they had
Gibson.
Who was the third running back? Number 41. Robinson or I can't even remember his name initially.
No, Robinson wasn't in that game.
Yeah, whatever it was. He had a big reception on the outside. 41. Williams. So how does Dallas take that aggressiveness that this whole defense is just intertwined with and then dial it back a little bit to make sure that they have the gap assignment and they're able to read these options well?
They have to not be what they've been to date, unfortunately. They have to slow down. You have to slow down. Because if you're flying around the way that you've been flying around, you're not concerned about the what-ifs. If you're not concerned about the what-ifs, that's when you get bit. That's what this whole offense is structured around, slowing you down. Their offense that they have has been successful against some, not so successful against others. But I honestly think like this offense is made for the Dan Quinn type of defense with the type of the Dan Quinn personnel. Like you want to play fast, you want to get uphill, cool, right? Come on.
Dan wants to get it on.
Come on, yeah. Dan wants to get on.
Let's get it on.
Dan's Mike Tyson. This is freaking Frazier. You know what I'm saying? Like patient versus not patient. Like so. I think that the defensive end position specifically, or outside linebackers, however you want to look at it, these guys are going to have to slow their roll. You're going to have to slow your roll, and you're going to have to read. Not saying that these guys can't be themselves, but you can't play as fast as you've been playing from that position. Because you think about it, these guys either have been running to the sideline or they've been running downhill at the quarterbacks. Okay, they haven't had to be, do I come downhill and take away the run? But if I go down too much down the line of scrimmage, then Jalen Hurts is going to pull it. And then I also have to be concerned with if he might fake it, might pull it, and throw it out to the tight end or the receiver out on the outside. So these guys got to make not only just one decision, they got to choose between 1 to 3 decisions on what do I do on any given play. The challenging spot for this defense is going to be the second level, the linebackers. Because the guards of the offensive line for Philadelphia get up to the linebackers. And how do they do that? Because of the boxes that are formed, right? The alignments that are there. A lot of times if the guards are not, if they don't have anybody standing over them, they have an easy track straight up to the linebacker, Bar, Van Der Esch. You're going to have a game of your life. Because you're going to be stuck there trying to figure out what direction do I go. And you talked about it earlier, Robbie. That one little pause, that 1 second pause allows these guards to get up to the next level. And if they're able to do that and get their hands on you, it's trouble. So, Bar, Van Der Esch, go hit your bench press, get your narrow grip on, because you're going to be punching people in the chest all day long.
I just love this part of the conversation because I think all of us in some way, shape, or form, Kyle in the mailbag yesterday and us on social media, have tried to clarify this for fans. The issue with the run defense for the Cowboys, it's not the interior. It's not the interior. It's not the interior. Those that are having success against this defense on the ground, they're doing it on the edges. Be it one game, it might be the left edge. One game, it might be the right edge. An example would be what Mixon was able to do. And his successful runs, the one that he got 5 or more yards on, were towards the Cowboys' right side of their defensive line. I just pulled up Saquon Barkley. All 4 of his 5 or more yard runs were to the right side of the offensive line. He got stonewalled in the middle, stonewalled on the left. It seems like it's one or the other. So it's not the interior, it's the outside on any given week. But it goes to your point. Linebackers have to remain disciplined and be ready to step up and support. And we can't stress it enough. That's what's going to help contain a guy like Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders, because you're going to have to maintain your mental discipline more than anything. Their whole goal, their entire goal is to make you think for that split second. And that split second makes you react in the wrong way or not react at all. And now you're chasing your breath as far as chasing Hurts this direction or that direction. So this is going to be a big test for the linebacker core as far as can they support the Cowboys' defensive line on the edges to stop the run.
Before you throw it over to Rob P., one thing, I know we're saying not interior defensive linemen. I'm going to disagree in this game. The interior defensive linemen are going to have the game of their life because their centers do so much. Their center pulls, their center reach blocks.
Kelsey's a little banged up, just by the way.
Understood. Yeah. But they're not going to change their scheme because of it, right? So it might be as less effective.
When we talk about scheme versus
I hear you.
personnel.
But this center, but the interior defense, Osa, Gallimore, Tristan Hill, you're going to have to get vertical. Because this center is either going to try to reach block you, and if he can reach block you and cut you off, it's easy to kick a defense in out. Okay, so if the center can cut off the front side defensive tackle, and the right tackle, left tackle, whatever it is, can kick out the defensive end that's usually lined up outside, that's why they're the end, then you have your guard working up to that linebacker, and now you have holes. So that's why I'm saying these guys are going to have to be sure up front, in the middle. Those guys are going to have to dominate this game.
And real quick, Rob, before we lob it over there, Quentin Bohanna. Keep an eye on Quentin Bohanna as far as the injury report this week, because if he can play, that'll be huge.
Yeah, it's a big one.
One thing real quick to add to No-C, in the Commanders game, they attack the edges, they burn the edges, and they went at Micah Parsons too. And that's something to watch too if he's on the edge, because you're trying to wear him down. You're trying to wear him down over the course of the game. You mentioned Quentin Bohanna on the Eagles side. You mentioned Kelsey. He's playing. He started 127 straight games or something like that. He's going to play, but they are banged up. I don't know if we mentioned that. Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Kelsey. There might be another injury on this offensive line. It seems like it's a theme against the Cowboys defense, but that's something to watch for Philly. They are not healthy up front.
Yeah, so that's one thing that may be an Achilles heel, but even then, there's not a whole lot of it. Jaw-dropping stat to end us out here on Talkin Cowboys today. The Eagles are one of 2 teams since 1940 with 12 rushing touchdowns or more, or 2 fewer giveaways in their first 5 games of the season. The only other team to ever do that was the 1960 Cleveland Browns. The Browns that year were led by quarterback Milt Plum. That's not a name you're going to remember. But then you've got 2 Hall of Famers that ran the football that year, Jim Brown and Bobby Mitchell. That was the last team to ever do what the Eagles have done through their first 5 games of the season.
Okay. Who's Jim Brown?
One of 2. He's only one of the best ever, if not the best ever.
Some guy I've heard of.
They're also the only team in the NFL this season with 2 players with over 250 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns this year, and that's Hurts. And, of course, in the backfield, it's Miles Sanders. So this offense is dangerous, but goodness gracious, so is this defense.
Woo!
Defense is also dangerous, so keep that in mind.
Bart Scott.
All right, that does it for us here on Talkin Cowboys. Tomorrow we'll flip it to Isaiah's other favorite matchup, the Cowboys offense versus the Philly defense. And we'll see what's going to happen this week here for the Eagles and the Cowboys. For Chris Beam, Rob Phillips, Isaiah Stanback, Patrick No-C Walker, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We'll see you tomorrow with more Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!